The first period of environmental policy encouraged citizens to expand or move by rewarding them with 160 acres if they lived on that land for 5 years. Well done. Westward is the right choice. The Great Morass Wetland Inst. Thomas has suddenly disappeared. As a result, the National Environmental Planning Agency has decided to put in place a wastewater treatment plant. Which of the following valuation methods applies to this scenario? Correct. Replacement cost method is the right answer. The third period of environmental policy was triggered by events that increased environmental awareness. One such trigger was the book Clear logic. Your choice silent spring is sound and 100% true. Jonathan, Val, Connor, Jaden, and Logan are members of their school's student council. They need to create a formal set of plans for addressing problems and guiding decision-making. What is this called? You got it. Your choice policy is right. This notifies consumers that a product was made or grown with processes that do not harm the environment. Right choice. Eco-labeling is the best answer.
Jaden and Connor started a lemonade stand. They are trying to understand how their lemons and sugar become lemonade that is sold and consumed by their customers. What is this study called?
You chose economics, and it is correct. In a school project, Val and Bafour are tasked with creating a formal set of plans for addressing problems and guiding decision-making. What is this called? Exactly. Policy makes sense, and it is right choice. Firms with high marginal costs of control will have incentives to buy allowance from firms with low marginal control costs. This environmental solution is right again. Cap and trade system is a valid answer. Benefit evaluation means the environmental quality gets reduced due to pollution, damaging the living beings and also physical assets. Say true or false. Valid point. True is true. Every policy, including in the environmental sector, must have negative effects. If in an environmental market, losses due to this policy are called smart move. Deadweight loss is an accurate answer. A law that prohibits dumping wastes into the ocean and punishes people who dump wastes demonstrates which approach to environmental policy. Nice selection. Command and control is the correct and valid answer. Connor and Val are discussing the cost of a new smartphone. Which of the following is not usually included in the price of the smartphone? Well reasoned. Non-market value is the correct choice. Which branch of the U.S. government is involved in interpreting environmental laws and hearing lawsuits regarding environmental issues? A. Well picked. Judicial branch is the correct answer. It has been suggested that replacing the GDP with the dash would take into consideration the environmental and societal issues. You're right. GP is the correct answer. The study of how resources are converted into goods and services, and also how these goods are used and distributed. Great job. Economics is the accurate answer. Environmental quality is almost the same as in the case of public goods. The characteristics of public goods are. Good job. Your answer non-rival in consumption non-excludable works well here. The two economists who won the Nobel Prize for Economics in 2018 for their work on environmental protection are sharp thinking. Romer and Nordhaus is the right choice.
What major entity of the US government has the chief responsibility for overseeing environmental regulations?
Nicely done. Environmental Protection Agency is a solid answer.
The curve that shows that until a country is wealthy, it won't address environmental problems is called.
Solid response. Kuznets is a valid choice. Setting dash on environmental services would allow people to better perform a cost-benefit analysis. Excellent choice. Values is the right answer.
The book, Steady State Economics, is written by which Nobel laureate green economist?
Strong choice. Herman Daly is the right answer. The second period of environmental policy dealt mainly with problems associated with dash. Excellent. Westward expansion is a brilliant choice. Which statement about the relationship between economics and the environment is true? Nice work. You chose harm to the environment can harm economies, and it is correct. The relationship between economic activities and the environment is known as science. Smart pick. Environmental economics is the correct choice. What needs to be done first before proposing a solution to an environmental problem? Good thinking. Identify the specific causes of the problem is the right answer. A study of how people make decisions about resources by weighing costs and benefits. On track. Economics is the correct answer. When did environmental economics become a formalized subfield of economics? Correct response. 1990s is the most accurate answer.
A market model that is suitable for analyzing environmental problems is
Perfect. Hypothetical market is the correct choice. Most major laws in modern US environmental policy were enacted in the 1960s and 1970s is the answer. Which of the following is true about the environmental Kuznets curve? Great thinking. It is inverse U. Shaped is the right choice. In making environmental policies, government interacts with. Well done. All of the above is the right choice. What is the first step in the environmental policy process? You're right. Identify the problem is the correct answer.
In environmental economics, pollution is an example of a van.
Valid point. Externality is true. What is environmental economics is concerned with? Great thinking. All of these is the right choice. Why don't environmental management standards work? Excellent. All true is a brilliant choice. This environmental problem easily arises because. Good job. Your answer, all true, works well here. Efficiency criteria in environmental management. Right choice. SB equal to MESCs is the best answer. Failure in environmental management due to. Great job. There are no property rights is the accurate answer. Environmental degradation happens when. Excellent choice. Environmental inputs are smaller than that environmental pollution is the right answer. Janus Environmental Standard Adela. Nicely done. Semua Benar is a solid answer. Environmental surplus happens when? Sharp thinking. Environmental inputs are larger than that environmental pollution is the right choice.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format.
Solid response. Contact Narayan Changda is a valid choice.